Welcome back to the Idle Engineer. In this video we make a dimmable Edison lamp. The motive for this project was to make a lamp that complemented our LP cover holder but had an interesting look when not in use. First I hollowed out the base with a forstner bit on the drill press, with one through hole for the socket. I used blue tape as a depth gauge to make sure I didn't make more than one through hole. For the base we used a lovely piece of hardwood cutoff we purchased at our local hardwood dealer. We aren't quite sure what the species was, just it had some nice figuring. Once the bulk was removed, I attempted to chisel out more wood to fit the dimming circuitry. Due to my lack of chiseling skills, other methods were required. A channel was made to accommodate some of the wiring between the socket and the dimmer. Since the rough out was complete, it was time to dry fit the components. The rotary switch on the dimmer needed some additional tuning to make sure the clearance was close but not too tight to prevent function. Next was a hole for the cloth braided plug cable. With power and dimming equipment fit, the socket could be mounted with the screw-on retaining clip. First I attempted to use a screw. After that broke, I used some super glue. With drilling complete, I took the base over to the belt sander to even out some machine marks with 80 grit. I tried to keep the base as flat as possible to maintain those sharp edges. To keep the wiring insulated and the lamp tidy, I used some brown opaque Lexan as a base cover. I pre-drilled the plastic with countersinks for 4 mounting holes after roughing out the piece on the bandsaw. To complete the cover, I screwed it on with 4 brass screws. Once it was screwed on, I took it back to the belt sander to square it up with the base. Once everything was flush, I used the sander for 120, then 220 grit, and then a sponge for 320 and finally 600 grits. Then of course I removed another broken screw. After I finished sanding, I used a tack cloth in preparation for 3 coats of tung oil with 4/0 steel wool between coats. Once the last coat was dried, I started final assembly. I began by attaching the socket to the retaining clip, then screwing in the dimmer and feeding through the power cable. With everything attached, I shortened up leads and used wire nuts to make all the connections. Since the dimmer is a big resistor, you can wire that either direction. With all the wire nuts in place, it's time to replace the cover. Once everything was assembled, it was time to test the dimmable LED bulb. After a stunning success, I added the 4 rubber feet to prevent sliding. Thank you for watching. Follow us on Instagram and please subscribe for future videos.